Hello everybody, my name is Farmer Phil, and in today's video we have the harrow on the 99 and we are going to go harrowing down the pumpkins and the sunflowers. And it's probably the last time this year you'll see the harrow on, as we have no winter crops in, apart from we sowed the lock of black oats and the ryegrass. No winter crops, which I'm a little bit frustrated about. I really wanted to get winter crops in. Father Phil, not really. I'm going to go burn some diesel and harrow down these sunflowers. So we're just driving out on the new car park on the shop site base. Before we get started, just for those of you in the video where we're showing sunflowers and that who didn't know why we're growing sunflowers, this here is our new car park for our new farm shop. And the next space where Liv is just pulling out with our Defender, that is the shop site. So we have our car park and our shop site here, and we use both as a car park for our pumpkin patch, which is finished now and we're going on to harrow the pumpkins after. But the new shop, we're starting to build that in the springtime. The cousin is going to do the grain shed, then start in the house, and then in the spring start into the farm shop to have ready for sunflowers next year. And the reason for the sunflowers is for a sunflower trail for people to come, walk through sunflowers, see the animals, feed the animals, and go through the farm shop to buy meat, local produce, merchandise, have a cup of coffee or an ice cream. That's what it's for. And that was the purpose behind growing the sunflowers, was to bring people to the farm shop, and it's part of the farm shop business, along with the pumpkins. That's why we grew them. We didn't grow them to see could we bale them, or see could we combine them or put them in the pit. That was the secondary. The main purpose of the crop of sunflowers was to attract people to the farm shop. And on that note, the sunflowers are dead. We were thinking we may combine them. The seeds are actually nearly all gone out of them. The small birds are absolutely having a field day, which we don't mind. We got our money's worth out of them. Yeah. You look ahead there and you can see the mold from where it's rotten, but you can also see the birds have eaten all the seeds out of them. They're actually damn near all face. So I don't feel half as bad for going to harrow it now. It was a secondary thing whether we combine it or not. And as you can see, the heads have rotted. So the quality of any seed that might be there is minimal. And the reason for harrowing this now is I want a clean slate for next year. Time to get it on the ground. And yes, Michael fixed the panel before he left. Hopefully it just flows through the disc harrow and doesn't build up. The first one, not looking promising. She is balling up behind the tractor. They're not flowing through. So I'm going to try another pass, maybe keep it up out of the ground a bit, see will it knock them down. But yeah, we'll just hold my breath now. Really all we're doing is just trying to knock them down to start rotting into the ground. Because from what the few we grew last year, we grew around outside the field. They did not really rot down. They were still there when we were trying to plough the field. So I can see that is just balling up behind me. She's running through the centre alright, but she's not letting the outside. Dragging them. If we give her another lift. Yeah, that's not really going to plan. I didn't really know what to expect. The topper that we do have would be no good. It's a non-runner for trying to cut these down at this height. All it does is just fold them down and then it won't chop them up. And a mulcher or something would be the ideal machine to do this, but what we do have won't work. So I thought maybe running the harrow through it might just knock them down and chop them up a bit. Which is running a little bit better here now. I think it's less about trying to go through the ground with them and more about trying to just level them. Definitely working better there. So even chopping them up a wee bit there too. Yeah, that's actually working out not too bad there now. The reason why I want this field leveled off, the sunflowers knocked down, is so the sunflowers have the rest of the winter to rot away into the ground. If I leave them standing like we did last year, they just seem to take forever. And our plan with this field is 3 acres, and for the first time in about it must be nearly 30 years, at least, I'd have to ask Father Phil. It's coming out of tillage and it's going back into grass. Hopefully around April-ish is when I'm hoping we'll get this field reseeded and do a proper job, full reseed, back into grass, and then this field is coming out of the farm production cycle and it's going into full-time farm shopping. The farm shop is taking over the 36 acres of tillage ground that is on the home farm. So this 3-acre field, the 12-acre field that we grew the maize in, and the 17-acre field that is where the pumpkins are this year and the beet. This field in particular is going into grass and then into paddocks to be divided up. We're not sure what way we're going to divide it up, but for the small stock, as we call them, for the farm shop. So the likes of our chickens, goats, ducks, geese, they'll probably also love me now because there's going to be sunflower heads and some seed all over the factory. Probably if you give it a second run, it'll probably chop the stalks up more and kind of turn them into the ground, which is what I was hoping to do at the first run. But so we're just finishing up the last bit of this here. It's worked out pretty good. I think it just clean slate. That's it. So I suppose a little bit on the crop of sunflowers. How did they grow for us? We knew a little bit what to expect from. We grew 2 runs or 1 run of the drill on the outside of the field last year as a trial, see how would they grow here, and they grew very well. The only thing we learned from last year is slugs will eat them out of house and home, so we put out slug pellets twice, if not 3 times on this. The one thing we couldn't get over was how well they grew, or how poor a year it was here, as in just how cold it was. We would have assumed that they would have needed heat to grow, but they didn't. They grew very well. No big expense on fertilizer and no special endings. Pre-emergent spray, nice clean crop. Lovely crop, maybe a little bit too tall. We did have quite a bit of them had fallen down when we opened the sunflower patch, especially in the middle of the field, but all in all, very, very happy with how they grew. And next year we're going to be doubling our sunflower crop to 6 acres. Our maize field will be divided into 2, 6 acres, 12 acres in it. So we'll have 6 acres of pumpkins and 6 acres of sunflowers. So that is the plan for next year with the sunflowers. I'm hoping to just basically do the same thing again, only slightly bigger, and hopefully with the new shop up and with this in paddocks and just the next step for us and the farm. And one final note on the sunflowers, now we're finished and just heading for the pumpkins. We did bale one section. We could have, well no we wouldn't have, because it just baling didn't work. But the other thing that we could have done, that we will be doing next year, is we will be cutting the sunflowers with the maize header when we cut the maize. It's something Michael was telling us about to do in the Netherlands. They have sunflowers around the outsides of maize fields as part of an eco scheme, and once they harvest the maize, they harvest the sunflowers. Now we would have done the same with what we had there, only for our maize was late and our crop of sunflowers was well shook at that stage, and we thought it was too big a risk. The sunflowers were too far gone to be trying to put them in with the maize in case it caused an issue, so that's why we just left it. But hopefully next year with our crop of maize we'll put in our 6 acres of sunflowers in. And we're up here with our pumpkins. There's still pumpkins out here. We estimate there's somewhere around 300 to 700 good pumpkins still here. Some are like that one there you are, rotten. Some like this one here are still good. Now we have gathered up a couple of hundred brought down to feed to the pigs. They will keep for a while, but eventually they will rot. But one of the big reasons I'm up here to harrow this is you don't have smell-o-vision, but the field is starting to smell, and I don't want to annoy our neighbours with the smell, so I'm hoping if I harrow everything, get everything to rot, incorporate into the ground, the smell should be gone in less than a week rather than lingering on for a while, because there is quite a lot of rotten pumpkins out here now that the thing is gone. We had a lot of rotten pumpkins out here because of slugs. Slugs gave us a lot of trouble. It wasn't a great year for pumpkins. We had less pumpkins than we had last year, even though we grew twice the acres. Last year we grew 3 acres. This year there's 6 acres in this pumpkin patch, and we grew 1,500 more pumpkins last year than this year. Why is that? Cold summer. This is bad with weeds because of the beet that was here. The slugs rotted about 20% of our pumpkins. Just all in all, wasn't great. By the time we get this done, it will be dark. This is my last shot before we go on holidays, as I just want to make sure that I try and get rid of the smell that's up here. I really don't want to annoy neighbours. Clean sweep. There's another reason too, but I'll explain that when we get going. See where I put this now, so that you'll see some pumpkins getting mashed and hopefully not fall off into weeds. That's not going to work with the weeds. Can't show you what it's done. Yeah. Will them seeds germinate? Maybe. This field here will be going into maize next year, so the likelihood of them seeding should be slim, because the spray, the pre-emergent spray for the maize will wipe all them out. Some lights. That's what we're doing. We'll go rattle these all out. We've a lot of white pumpkins remaining. We had a great crop of white pumpkins. Of everything that grew, the white ones grew very well. But we had a shortage of orange pumpkins, as they did not ripen in because of just cold summer. Everything was behind. People want orange pumpkins, not white pumpkins. Where white pumpkins grew really well. There must be a variety that doesn't mind the cold as much, whereas our orange varieties needed more heat. So that was the biggest disappointment. There's nothing we can do about it. And if you're going to say, well, why didn't we just sow more orange ones than white ones? We had our specific amounts done based on what we sold other years. Well, it just turned out that our orange ones didn't grow as well, and the white ones just flew. If you're wondering, what are the pumpkins for? They're for our pumpkin patch. Every year we have a pumpkin patch. This is our 4th pumpkin patch we've had. Next year will be our 5th. And as I said before, it'll be in the field behind us is where we'll be operating out of next year. Hopefully we'll have a bigger and better setup, and hopefully with more pumpkins and less weeds. For those of you that are wondering why so weedy, that was purely down to there was beet here last year, and with the beet we had a woeful crop of weeds, and just the weeds that were in the beet ended up seeding the ground and just plagued us. There is no spray that I know of or have been told about that I can put on the pumpkins to kill weeds. None whatsoever. So it ends up that really, really hard to control weeds in pumpkins. And we used Roundup and sterile tilling to try and get a good start on them, but even that wasn't enough. One of the other reasons why I want to get this done is because of how bad the weeds are, and because we now have another crop of bad weeds. This ground is going to be polluted with weeds for the foreseeable future. With pumpkins, we have to rotate them every 3 years, so they won't be back up here in this spot for 3 years. So there'll be 2 years out there, and then on the 3rd year we'll be back here. And we learned that from a man from America that stayed with us, that worked with the Amish community. And that's why we're taking over the 36 acres of the tillage land on the farm, so we can rotate our pumpkins, and the sunflowers fits in nicely with that, as they're not a hungry crop, whereas pumpkins are. The other crop that will be in our rotation with the pumpkins is maize. Now yes, maize is a hungry crop. The reason for maize is we also want the maize to have a maze through it for the farm shop as another attraction, to try and keep footfall in the farm shop, make the whole thing work. And maize is one of the things we want to do. So they're the three crops. So we'll have our sunflower patch, then we'll go to our maize, and then we'll go into Halloween and our pumpkin patch for our final event of the year. Whereas the pumpkins and the sunflowers are primarily there for the people. The maize is a bit different in that regard, because the maize will be very useful to us as animal feed. And if you're wondering why don't we collect these to feed to the cattle will not eat pumpkins. We've tried it. We tried them whole, we tried them chopped, we tried them mixed in the diet feeder with silage, and they even wouldn't look at that. They would literally turn their nose up at the feed. We had to end up dumping all the feeds with it. So up here I won't have to do the headlands, as we have no pumpkins sown on the headlands. So it makes life a little bit easier in that regard. But I think we're doing a pretty good job here. It is mince and everything up here. Liv reckoned she was missing wheelbarrows, so I found one anyways. So just for a bit of context, as part of our pumpkin patch, we have a stash of kids' wheelbarrows and big wheelbarrows that people can take, bring out to the field to pick the pumpkins, bring their pumpkins to be sized, to be priced, and to the car. But especially with kids' wheelbarrows, you get a heap of them leave and not too many return. So that's one of the young lads that work for us. One of them's literally job is just keep gathering wheelbarrows. I don't know how many we're missing, but that's one of them anyways. Just doing the last run here now, and that is pumpkins for this year. There's one crop left to do for this year, and that's the beet beside us. When that's done, we are done for the year. And we probably won't be pulling the last of that until December, and maybe even into January. Who knows? We don't even know ourselves. Hey up, we're done. So I just want to say, for anyone who was looking for tickets for Pumpkin Patch Scene, we were fully booked, and now sees me going and destroying a heap of pumpkins. The reason we have pumpkins over is how we run our pumpkin patch. When we harvested our pumpkins, every pumpkin that we grew had to be harvested. So we had to walk around shoulder to shoulder with secateurs and cutting all the pumpkins off. Number one, we need to do that so that pumpkins that aren't ripe will start to ripen in. Number two, we can't have people running around the field with scissors to try and cut pumpkins off the plants. And three, so that we know how many pumpkins we have, so that we can gauge how many tickets we can sell. And this year, because we were down on pumpkins from last year, we didn't have as many people. I think we ended up with about 1,200 families this year at the pumpkin patch. When we went and harvested these, we seen we had at least 20% of the pumpkins that were visible were rotting from slugs, mostly because it was so mild going into the back end. Slugs were very active, and it's the first time we ever seen such an issue with slugs. They were just fleecing pumpkins, eating the skin, water gets in, pumpkin rots. And also because of the cold summer, plants were later grown, so everything was later ripening, and we had an awful lot of green pumpkins, and we didn't know whether them green pumpkins were far enough on that they would start to ripen or whether they'd start to rot. So we went with a very high margin of error, because the last thing we want to do is have to tell the people coming the last days of the pumpkin patch we either don't have pumpkins because we misjudged it, or be standing at the top of the field and hand your pumpkin when you came to pick your own because there's only a certain amount left. We also, the way we run our pumpkin patch, which probably doesn't help either, is you can pick as many or as few pumpkins as you want when you come. You can spend as much or as little. There's no, it's €5 for your booking, so we can space out cars and we can handle a crowd. And then after that, it's up to you. You want to spend €50 on pumpkins, or you want to spend a tenner, you can spend as much or as little as you want. So it leaves us where we don't know how many pumpkins people are going to buy, so we also have to work that into it. And we know per family unit on average, and we have to work all these equations out, and we have to run with our margin of error. And we also have to have, for the last people who come, we can't have 20 families coming and 100 pumpkins in the field. It'll look very sparse. We need to have a couple of hundred. So that is why. So I'll apologise to anyone who wanted to come who couldn't get tickets and kids were disappointed. Hopefully, fingers crossed, next year's a better year. We have more pumpkins and we can push it harder and have more tickets and accommodate everyone. But that's why we have pumpkins over. It's just how we run it. We could run it where you pay so much, you get so many pumpkins, and that's that. But we personally don't like that. We like it that it's whatever you want to make of the pumpkin patch, you can spend as much or as little, buy as many or as few. It's your pumpkin patch to play with. And so far as to pick pumpkins, we're not telling you how many you can have or can't have. So that is why we have so many pumpkins to harrow into the ground. So, and also, before I turn off the tractor, we're back in the yard now. I'd like to thank everyone who came and supported us at this year's pumpkin patch. It really goes a long way to, and for everyone who supported us this year at the farm shop, whether you bought beef, you bought merchandise, you came to the ploughing, you bought merch there, whether you bought pork, whether you're at the sunflowers, whether you're at the pumpkins, a massive thank you to all ye, because ye are helping me and Liv push on at the farm shop. We now have the 36 acres of tillage ground at our disposal to make use of for the farm shop, and I hope to include more of the farm into the farm shop in the future, whether it be some kind of open farming situation or whether it be more things in different fields. Me and Liv really want to push that, and that's where we will be pushing. But for now, we got 36 acres to play with and a new shop to go up, and it's all because of ye, the viewer, and ye who support us through the shop, through the merchandise and all that, that's allowed us to do this. So we'll be forever grateful to ye. And yeah, hey, look, that's really it for today's video. If you have any questions or anything like that, please hit me in the comments down below. If you're wondering how to grow pumpkins, they are a pain because they are not simple. Just to put into context, we've grown pumpkins for 4 years now. First year's a good year, second year's a bad year, third year's a good year, this year is a bad year. They're not easy crop to grow. So, but anyways, look at, that's it for me. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Videos every Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday. That's it for me. Good luck.